Freestyle travel. Hey everybody, Kenny Flannery here, and I've got an amazing episode for you. It's been a really good week or two. Cutting across the country, hitchhiked literally from the coast, North Carolina in the United States, all the way to Arizona. It's why I love hitchhiking. It's got a lot of good stuff in here. It's why I'm living the way I live in a lot of ways. I got a couple stories with police, running into state troopers. I've got a Russian dude who loopholed his way in the country that I met. I've drove a truck a significant amount. Fell in love a couple times along the way. A little bit in Nashville, a little bit in Tulsa. Met some very interesting people who gave me rides. Got some breakaway rides and some generosity. All the good stuff. I'm having a great time. And now I'm at some of the best people in the world's place in Arizona. And I haven't seen them yet. I got in late last night, which is all part of the story. I'm really excited to see them. Gonna have a little shindig here tomorrow and continue on. It's looking good. It's looking good going forward. And it's been an awesome week, like I said. Trip hopping has been going well. I've been getting time here and there, not so much in the last couple weeks to work on that. So keep checking that out if you want to, triphopping.com. And I'm excited to get the app officially in the App Store by the end of February. That's one of the goals. And if you want to come out to Phoenix in February, come and join and help make the site better and help just make the travel community better. We're going to be focusing on making the app better and getting meetups going around the world again, like the old couch surfing days. And it's just going to be fun. There's going to be people there, maybe even including you, with different skills. I'll be doing a bunch of programming, of course, and organizing stuff, and hoping to find maybe another coder if you're out there, want to do some Flutter or Fire-based stuff. If you're a designer, whether it's making icons, making general artwork, whatever, you're welcome out there. It's going to be a blast. Some research to do, general stuff that literally a 13-year-old could do. So yeah, if you got good energy and you got good vibes, come on out. We'll be able to feed you, give you a place to stay. It's going to be during the month of February, so reach out any which way that you can. And that'll be awesome. I'm gonna have like a whole stack of Magic Mind there too. So bring that up again. Been liking to mention them because that really helped me focus to get trip hopping going. This Magic Mind mental performance shot. It's like a 2-ounce little drink that you just take a little shooter of in 1 sip or 2 in the morning alongside your coffee or without it. And it just gets you super focused. I'm really looking forward to getting some of that because, like I said, it helped me get started coding into trip hopping again. And you can tell the difference when you're on it. Like if you drink it for a few days and then get off of it for a few days, and it's not like a withdrawal, it's not like you're like, oh, I need my fix, but you are missing it, you clearly feel more clear and focused when you're drinking on it. And day 2 is better than day 1, and day 3 is better than day 2. And after a few days without it, you're like, really want to get back to that again. So come to Phoenix and drink some of that with me. And if you want to get some for yourself in the meantime, I recommend it. And they're super nice over there. Been going back and forth, and they gave me a code to give you guys if you want to get a little discount. You can go to magicmind.com/freestyle show and then use my code freestyle show 20, freestyle show 20, and you get 20% off subscription, or if you just want to give it a shot, get a little box sent to your door of the good. It is awesome. And they told me about, I probably shouldn't mention it. I won't mention it, but they did mention another product that they're working on that's got me super excited. I don't know if I'll be talking about it in the future. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm hoping I do get to try it. And that'll be something cool too, especially for us travelers. But anyways, I'm excited for the trip hopping collective here in February. I'm really excited for it. So definitely message me on social media, I guess, @hobolifestyle. On Instagram is a good way to go, or there's a 100 ways to message me, so let's just go with that one. Instagram. And yeah, tell me why you want to get into it. Any which way. It'll be cool. So yeah, let me tell you about this epic little trip from hitchhiking from North Carolina to Arizona, where I am now. Friends, family, like I said, police, fucking girls over the bar counter, falling in love with. Just stupid. Just stupid. That's how it goes. When you're on the go, fall in love a couple times and keep moving while doing nothing. But we'll see. Life is good. Let's jump into it. Let's go back to North Carolina and move on. Alrighty, so yeah, I spent spent Thanksgiving in North Carolina with some family out there, dad, some brothers, and whatnot. And yeah, it was just a really good chill time to catch up with them. Sometimes I can go a couple years without seeing them or so, but I try to see them once or twice a year if I can. So it was good, especially being out of the country. Catch up with them. Anyone who's been traveling a while knows how good it feels to see family or really good friends after a year or more not seeing them. And I did a bit of that this past week or two. So yeah, my brother was actually driving up to Raleigh to drop someone off. So that was sort of a boost to the next step. So the goal really is to get to Wyoming for Christmas. I haven't achieved that goal yet. I surely will. But also my friends in Arizona will be having a shindig. Spoiler alert. I'm going to be here for that tomorrow. So that was the goal. The midterm goal was to get to Arizona on the way to Wyoming. So first step was Asheville, North Carolina. I had a friend living there. He's living there with the latest girlfriend, and Asheville's kind of one of my favorite places. It's pretty cool. A lot of breweries, a lot of good vibes. They recently got hit by a big storm. I guess they call it the fringe of a hurricane, and that caused a lot of landslides, and because of all the heavy rain, and that wiped out a lot of stuff along the river in Asheville and nearby. So I was curious to see what that looked like. My brother had been going over there and cutting up trees and doing stuff like that, so he told me a little bit about it. But anyways, yeah, Asheville was like step one on the trip out west, and it worked out. So yeah, my brother gave me the ride to Raleigh, just south of Raleigh. Got lucky, got a ride pretty quickly from a guy who was going all the way to the other side of Durham, so I kind of got to bypass all the different roads and city vibes that can swamp you up while you're hitchhiking sometimes in one shot from this guy. So that was nice. And then a pottery girl picked me up going to the next little town. She was super nice. And another guy gave me a ride to Greensboro. Yeah, Greensboro. And by the time I got there, it was getting dark, and my buddy had already said he would drive and try to meet me somewhere if I didn't make it. And that was the case. So I hung out in Greensboro, grabbed a beer, and an hour or two later, he came and picked me up. Christian, he's been on the podcast before. Christian from Mississippi. He actually picked me up hitchhiking, I don't know, it's been a while now, maybe 10 years ago, something like that. And invited me to stay, and we became friends. And yeah, if you've listened to the podcast and never heard me talk about Mississippi, he was involved, and he's been on the podcast once. So you go back and listen to that episode if you want to. Good friend of mine, and yeah, he scooped me up. We caught up, ran out of gas. We were just talking so much, wasn't paying attention, ran out of gas almost to Asheville, but luckily we were just a mile from the highway, or the gas station, so just walked over there. Fixed that problem, and yeah, got back to his place, and he's been saving some beers for me. I haven't seen him in over a year, and we haven't properly hung out in a good while. But if you guys have watched the Hopping show on YouTube, Hopping the Backpacking Beer Adventure, one of the episodes I went to Denver, and there's this brewery called Burns Family Ales that makes these super strong beers, really strong. If you go into their brewery, they at least when I went and filmed the episode, they make one 8% blonde ale just for the people who can't handle the good. Like that's their weak beer. Pretty awesome stouts and stuff. So anyways, Christian had been there, I guess, last summer. And because of the episode and my suggestion, he popped in there and drank some delicious stouts and stuff. And they had this 22% alcohol God's Woods stout that they make. Pretty rare beer, pretty expensive. And Christian grabbed a bottle of that. They didn't have it when I was there. And he's been saving that, waiting on me, along with a few other random bottles of imperial stouts. Pretty much all he drinks is... Not pretty much. All he drinks is imperial stouts, and that's my favorite style of beer as well. So he's been saving these bottles. So anyways, spent a few days in Asheville with him, drinking on these epic bottles of beer, just so good. Going to some breweries. I showed him a Burial Brewery, which he hadn't yet discovered, which makes some really good imperial stouts. If you're in Asheville, North Carolina, definitely go to Burial if you are in love with big badass stouts. Barrel aged, different flavors, all the good stuff. Fat barley wines, all kinds of good beers. So did some of that. I saw some of the damage by the river. Definitely some places that were kind of on my go-to list are gone, just totally wiped out. A little taco spot, brewery, another little bar spot on the river. All those places are just gone, and whether they rebuild or not, I don't know. But what was there is no longer. But they've bounced back in other ways. Like, you know, they got clean water and places are up and running, and they're actually just hoping more people will come. I guess someone got on the news and said, like, don't come to Asheville, and they definitely want you to go there. So go to Asheville and get some beer and have a good time. So yeah, caught up with him. His girlfriend was out of town, but she got in the last night. We went to Sierra Nevada, which is down by the airport, and then had to go to Sierra Nevada. Come on. And then scooped up his girlfriend at the airport, and she seemed really cool. We stopped at a brewery on the way home and stayed up drinking some beers, just catching up, getting to know each other a little bit. And yeah, she seemed like one of the good ones. So happy that everything's working out for him at the moment over there. And yeah, had to keep it moving. Days were, peeling off the calendar, and only had so much time if I wanted to make it to Arizona. And I had another buddy in Murphy, North Carolina, and halfway between Asheville and Murphy was Harris Casino. So I popped in there because I was able to get a free night. I was just going to stay for a night, but then something was going on, got delayed with him. I think he was going to come pick me up, my buddy, and then anyways, just stayed for 2 nights there. Not a very eventful trip, really. It's kind of a beautiful part of North Carolina. Casino's a fair size, but it's not like Vegas vibes or anything where you walk outside and all kinds of stuff's going on. It's just sort of the casino in this little town. So I was in and out of there. Got a ride out of town the day I was going to his place, and then some kind of van gave me a little ride, and then really cool ride from this bird guy. So he was on his way to Chattanooga, and he gets paid to like get birds out of like Walmarts and warehouses, and has this super long net. And actually he's been involved in like falconry and stuff. So like sometimes there's like monuments that are getting shit on and stuff, and he'll like unleash his falcon to go like snatch up pigeons and shit. Like, get birds that way. Like, so he's getting birds with nets, he's getting birds with other birds. I don't know, super interesting dude. And he gave me a ride. He was going to Chattanooga, so he's going right through Murphy. So got me to my buddy's place damn near. And yeah, my buddy David's been on the podcast a couple times too. Once in Mississippi and once in Biloxi. Super interesting guy. Recommend listening to those episodes if you want to. I forget the titles, but if you just look up David in Biloxi or David in New Orleans, rather. Either of those. Awesome dude, and yeah, awesome hanging out with him. He's moved from New Orleans up into the mountains there. So again, awesome to see a friend I haven't seen in over a year and catch up. And his girlfriend came in the last day. She's super cool. Met his sister, and just, yeah, kind of totally different than the New Orleans lifestyle. Now they're up in the mountain, and just like a mountain community there. Everyone's cool. I met one of his neighbors, was like really cool guy. He used to work for NSA or something like that. Interesting dude. Went to try to go to a brewery with them, but there's some Christmas parade going on. But we found a bar and found another spot to have some beers and stuff. So pretty good times. But yeah, again, just had to get moving. Probably stayed a day extra, but yeah, it all worked out. It all worked out real well. So he, I guess, yeah, dropped me off down the mountain. I think just right over the border, actually, in Tennessee. He lives right by the border. And yeah, well, my next step was, well, I had a few ideas because I had a friend in Nashville, Oklahoma City, and Albuquerque. Some friends I haven't seen in 10 years plus. Others I haven't seen in a couple years. And I was like, all right, those are the 3 spots, if I do get dropped off, that I will try to see if they're around and hit them up. That's kind of the fun thing about going across the country when you've traveled this much or know a bunch of people in a familiar country, is that there's a lot of sort of options, places to potentially drop in and, yeah, see some familiar faces. And hitchhiking across the country, the United States in particular, it's just fun. It's just fun because you don't know who's going to pick you up. You know, at any moment, someone could be going one exit down the road, or they could be going across the country, diagonal. If someone had been going straight to Wyoming, you know, I would have jumped on it. Like, the idea was to try to stay south and see my friends here in Arizona and stay warm most of the way. But going across the United States and sort of like diagonal is yeah, it's just more fun. You can accept more rides because whether they're going straight west in this case or a little bit north, you can just kind of go with the flow, and that's my favorite state to be in. So anyways, yeah, Nashville is the next closest place, 3 or 4 hours away, and that worked out as well. So I got a few rides kind of going that direction to Chattanooga. Mom and son gave me a ride to Chattanooga. Father, son gave me a ride like around and out of Chattanooga. And then this like really cool couple picked me up. They said usually they don't pick up hitchhikers. And in fact, the husband, he said the one time he did pick up a hitchhiker, I forget how long ago, the dude pulled a knife on him and was just like, you're going, I think, to New York. Yeah. He's like, the guy pulled a knife on him. Or maybe it was a gun. I forget, a knife or a gun, and was like, you're taking me to New York. So I was like, fuck, that was his experience. And actually what he did was like, he got to a red light and he just jumped out of the car and he's like, you can go to New York if you want to, but I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm like, oh shit. And the dude just like ran away. So it worked out. He got his car back. But pretty awesome dude to have that as his one hitchhiking story, or picking up a hitchhiker story. And then he saw me and said, let me roll the dice again. And yeah, super, super cool couple. And we were just chatting and they were going to Nashville. So I was like, awesome. Texting my friend there and he's like, hell yeah, come on in. My friend Ben, he spends half the year in Nashville, half the year in Montana. And I've seen him out there too. Met him through couch surfing, kind of. Back in the day, I couch surfed with his neighbor, and then became friends with him as well. So yeah, anyways, he was down, and this couple was super cool, and they were just asking me questions about hitchhiking, and we were talking, and it's kind of funny because they asked me about like police and stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, sometimes I deal with them, and they usually just check my ID and give me a ride. So anyways, we got pulled over because he's got a window tint. So we got pulled over, and the cop was like, yeah, your tint is too tinted, and brought him back to the car to, like, I don't know, check his insurance, and he was just going to write him a warning. But I guess while they were talking, he sort of asked who was in the car, and mentioned that I was a hitchhiker. So then he came back and grabbed my ID, just like I told him the cops usually do, and probably legally didn't have to give him my ID, but, you know, I don't care. I'm not trying to stir anything up, so nothing came of it. He ran my ID, and yeah, I'm not America's Most Wanted. So gave it back and we got going. So we had laughs about that, just on the way into Nashville. They gave me a bottle of wine from a local winery, super nice. Yeah, it's a real cool couple. And they dropped me off right at Ben's house, so perfect. It was kind of starting to rain too, and it was just about dark, so it just worked out perfectly. And caught up with Ben. I haven't seen him since Montana a couple years ago. Older guy, real nice, been around. Yeah, he's got some stories for sure. Lots of stories, but yeah, we caught up, and then he suggested we go to a brewery, and you knew what my answer was. We went to Living Waters, which was like a coffee shop / brewery, and yeah, fell in love with the bartender temporarily. I don't know. Sometimes you see someone, you're like, she's just this quirky photographer girl, but yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you're just like, yep, that's an amazing human being. I want to travel the world with you, and said nothing to her almost. We talked a little bit, but Ben was like talking me up, like, oh, this guy's traveled the world, this and that. And I'm like, I'd like to travel the world with you. And goodbye forever. But yeah, we took off and ended up meeting his neighbor, Lee, who I originally had couch surfed with, I think well over 10 years ago at this point. So we were hooting and hollering at the other bar down the road, and then went back to Ben's place, and he cooked up like a salmon dinner, and we all just talked shit, drank that bottle of wine the couple gave me, and yeah, just had a good old night of rip-roaring it up, talking shit, telling stories, having laughs, good times, Passed out on the futon. Then in the morning, Ben took me out to Hattie B's Chicken, which is an absolute must. I've like ditched rides going through Nashville before, like just to stop and go get Hattie B's. I'm just a sucker for Nashville hot chicken, and Hattie B's is good. Prince's is good. There's a lot of good hot chicken spots actually around the country even, but fucking Nashville hot chicken. And then yeah, Ben gave me a ride out over out of the city, and got to a truck stop that I thought was going to be a little bit busier, and it was not. It was not at all. So I'm just waiting on the on-ramp, and I waited for like an hour or something and just did not get a ride. So this kind of sucks. Gonna start walking. So started walking down to the highway, and after an hour and a half of walking, maybe 2 hours, not getting a ride, a state trooper came, told me it was illegal to walk on the highway in Tennessee, but he was nice enough, and I acted dumb enough and chill enough. He just gave me a ride, ran my ID like they always do, and gave me a ride like 20 miles to the next truck stop. And I waited there till it got dark and just did not get a ride. So I was just kind of shot there for the night. Like, yeah, and it gets dark so early. It's like 5 p.m., so it's just nothing I can do. I mean, luckily there's a big truck stop area. So in the morning, things kind of fired off. Like, I thought it was going to rain all day. It did not, luckily. And when daylight came, I was able to get a ride within an hour. And this is where stuff just started blasting off. Really awesome. This guy picked me up. He was coming from a board game conference of sorts in Philadelphia. So this guy works for, I think he said Blizzard, like the video game company. Maybe he said Call of Duty or something like that. One of those big games is like his actual job, but his like side hustle has been these different board games. So he came up with this one board game about these like these goats, these monster goats that get bigger and bigger. He's telling me a little bit about it, but he said that game didn't really sell too well, but what was selling for him was pretty cool is these like smelly dice. So I haven't played a lot of these like Dungeons and Dragons games, or these games where you have these like 20-sided dice, but a lot of these games require these like dice that have 20 sides. You know what I'm talking about probably if you've played these kind of games before. But anyways, he makes these dice that are like scented, and I guess they've been selling really well. He's been having fun with it. It's not anything that's going to replace his video game job anytime soon, but he's doing better than breaking even, he said. And yeah, it just kind of sounded cool. I think if I was into gaming, I would buy some dice. He had like 10 different scents, like blueberry muffin, one that smells like dirt, he said, sells really well. One that smells like a campfire. I don't know, all this stuff. I was like, that's pretty cool, actually. I could see how that would sell pretty well. So we were just talking about that and talking about my travels and stuff. Of course, the bivy pack came up, and because he's done all this different manufacturing and stuff like that, we were just talking about that, and I was kind of getting hyped about doing the bivy pack thing again. Those of you all know about my bivy pack. It's like the backpack that turns into a tent, and I've got like a hybrid sort of a version now, a modular version I've been traveling with the last 2 or 3 years that I absolutely love. It's definitely been the best one I've made so far, but it's time to make a new one. It's starting to get some wear and tear, and I'm starting to get ideas. And then just meeting people like this, getting inspired. So probably this March I'm gonna make some kind of move on that. Just a heads up to anyone wanting a bivy pack. Stay tuned come March, thereabouts. Might be doing something or other, and the next ride even encourages even more. But anyways, this guy was absolutely awesome. He was going to Austin, Texas. So that was the epic thing too. I was trying to stay on I-40, and I did, but it still meant going all the way to Little Rock with him. So hours down the road. We actually stopped in Memphis. If you've ever driven through Memphis or been to Memphis, you've definitely seen the big pyramid building next to the highway. That's actually now a Bass Pro Shop. We stopped in there, and I didn't realize there's like a few restaurants in there too. So he got us burgers, which is super nice, and then drove all the way to his turn to go down I-30 in Little Rock. And yeah, super cool guy, and we stayed in touch. He's like, if you ever are in Austin, let's hang out. And he always needs help with one thing or another, like including packing these stinky dice, because he gets them made in China, but they're not able to do the scented portion of it because he's patented it. He's doing something hasn't really been done before in this way, so he's got to do that part on his own. So anyways, he's just like, yeah, if you're ever in Austin, maybe I can give you a little work packing dice and stuff like that. So super cool guy. Really, really stoked that I met him. Real friendly. And yeah, dropped me off in Little Rock. So I start walking down I-40 in Little Rock, and I got a ride pretty quickly. And this small SUV, Jeepish kind of thing pulls over, just like littered in like hiking stickers and stuff. So right away as he pulled over, I'm like, this person has got to be freaking cool. So he pops out, this guy John, and just starts moving all his bags around, and I'm recognizing like Dyneema composite fabric on the backpacks and some like high-end gear and stuff. So like right away we'll start talking about that, because I'm like, oh, nice DCF bag, you know. And there's only so many people who know how to respond to that phrase, nice DCF bag. So he's like, you know what Dyneema is? I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. So we just started going off and chatting. He just been on like a 3-month hiking around. So Tulsa is kind of his home base, but he tries to spend 4 months a year just traveling and mostly hiking. And his whole thing is, how can he have the absolute most comfortable camping chill setup at the most absolute ultralight way possible. So we're very similar in the regard that we're trying to be as light as possible. However, my goal is to be as minimal as possible, to have as little stuff to deal with, for reasons like, you know, having to get on a plane or go to a bar and not like be standing out. But he's willing to carry the extra weight and have all these extra comforts. And he showed me later, he told me all about it, and then ended up showing me later. And it's actually pretty impressive. His bag is fucking heavy, but it's like 50 pounds. But the amount of shit that he's got in there is actually like really impressive. It's he's got a cot, he's got a tent, obviously, and a bivvy, and a hammock, and a chair, and like lights and power sources, and what he said is the best solar panel money could buy. Pretty much everything he had he said was the best that money could buy. He's a pretty successful dude, involved in some crypto and other stuff. He's got some other businesses going on. So we were just like going off about gear and lightweight stuff, and I was telling him all the stuff that I've made before, and the jacket that is to fly to my tent and is also a puffy coat and turns into this, and other ideas that I've had for different stuff. And he was telling me things, and I was giving him ideas that I've thought of for stuff like that I wouldn't necessarily use, but he thought was cool. And anyways, he's even thinking of starting a outdoor brand once the current business venture he's got going on kind of settles down a little bit early or mid next year. So maybe we'll be talking some more, but we talked a lot more that night actually. So he was going to Tulsa, like I said, which is a little off of I-40, but by the time we got to where he'd be turning off to Tulsa, it was going to be dark. So I just rode with him to Tulsa because he said he could put me up for the night, and Tulsa was going to be closer than where he dropped me off. So I was like, all right, still makes sense. Yeah, if you're ever hitchhiking, just because someone's going off the highway, if they're going further, sometimes it's worth it if it's going to be dark anyways. So yeah, I went ahead and rode with him all the way to Tulsa, and we quickly stopped at his mom so he could grab something or other, and there's a brewery that he really wanted to show me because, yeah, obviously we're in the car for hours. Breweries are going to come up, so we went to this, like, Erie something or other brewery, and to be honest, it was just okay. It was like a Erie Abbey's brewery. It was just okay. A lot of Belgian-style beers. It was above average, but, yeah, it was above average. We got there right before they closed, and he had to return something to REI, and then we ended up going to a bowling alley to meet one of his friends, and they weren't there, but some of his friends were there, and this one girl that he knew, and she invited to have us come back to her place, kind of party a little bit. So we did that because she thought we were there for different reasons, and she's just like, oh, you need something? Like, come back. And he's like, do you want to go party over there? And I'm like, yeah, dude, that's the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. Like, that's the other girl I fell in love with for a minute. Nothing will come of it, but it's fun to fall in love sometimes for an hour or two or three, however long we were there. Yeah, she was just super cool. She was a real estate girl who does, she's like a showgirl at the casino too, but just she's traveled a little bit. Super friendly, real easy to hang out with. Cool apartment, just like lots of quirky art all over the place, and just drinking some beers, doing the thing, hanging out there, chatting about travel. She's definitely like a more high-end kind of traveler, but kind of fun to talk to and hang out. And we were there till probably like an hour or two later than we should have been, really, because we were just fired up. But got back to his place and had like another beer. We were up till like 3 or 4 in the morning. And I got up relatively early because, it gets dark at like 5 p.m. So the more hours you can get in hitchhiking in the wintertime, the better. The earlier you can go, because at 5 p.m. it gets dark, and generally the day's over. Generally. But yeah, he slept until like noon, which is whatever. We went and got a burger once he got up, and by the time I actually got on the road, he like rode me out to I-44, which is cool. But it was like 1:30 p.m., maybe 2 by the time I was out there. So only a few hours of daylight left as I got started. So this pretty cool girl picked me up going through Oklahoma City, but she dropped me off in Oklahoma City, and where she had to drop me off because of a junction, I still had like a 30-minute walk to get back to where I needed to be in the highway. And I have a buddy I went to high school with who's living in Oklahoma City, so I gave him a shot, but unfortunately I didn't hear from him until later. But there was still daylight left. It was still like 3:30, so I still had like an hour and a half. Well, by the time I got to the highway, I knew it'd be like an hour. So I just kept trying to hitchhike while I was waiting to maybe hear from him. I got a short ride from one guy kind of to the edge of town, and then this 17-year-old dude picked me up, and he was pretty much where he was. He wasn't really going anywhere, but he just saw me and was curious, and was just a cool, helpful dude. So he's like, I can get you to the next town. I think it's called El Carino. He's like, or somewhere else if it's better. something like that. So, and I still hadn't heard from my buddy, and I wasn't really expecting to. It was really out of the blue. This friend I haven't seen in a long time, so it's not unexpected. So yeah, this guy was cool. He took me to El Reno. He's like, they have world famous burgers here. He's like, to be honest, like they're only world famous around here, which doesn't really make them world famous, but that's what they say. He's like, onion burgers. He's like, I haven't had one in a while. Let me buy you one. So we sat down, had a burger. It was pretty damn good, actually. And yeah, and then he drove me a little further to where the 281 hits the I-40. Decent sized truck stop there, good junction, definitely dark by then. And by that point I did actually hear from my friend, and he was like in meetings and doing other stuff, and he would have been busy anyways. So it's good that I kind of kept moving. So he dropped me off at that truck stop, and it's pretty cold at this point, in the 30s anyways, Fahrenheit. And I was just thinking, you know, whether I should try to find a place to camp. It's only like 6 p.m. That's what sucks. It's like so dark. 6 in the wintertime. So I was debating what to do, and I decided, you know, that I eyeballed that there was a big, what should we call it, street light above the on-ramp. I'm like, why don't I just go down there to the on-ramp, stand under the street light, and just give it a shot until I get too cold or I get too bored, and then I'll scope out one of these places I might be able to camp. And within a minute, this lady picked me up, and she was going to the next town, Weatherford. I don't know what it was, like maybe 20 miles up the road. She was doing DoorDash or something. She's from Alaska, or she'd been living in Alaska most of her life. She living in this town, Weatherford, now. So she gave me a ride up there to Weatherford. And then at Weatherford, I knew I was pretty shot, you know. This is no longer the busy truck stop. There's, yeah, no getting a ride at this point. So I went to the grocery store just to grab a little something to eat, and then yeah, kind of walked to the edge of town where there's a wilderness-ish kind of area, park kind of thing. I don't know what it was, but there's a lot of trees, so I hopped in there and camped there for the night. Oh, I forgot to mention, the dude in Tulsa, he just had all that ultralight gear and shit that we were talking about, and we were just like so fucking spun up and drinking and chatting and talking about all this stuff. He just kept offering me shit. He was giving, so when we got to the girl's place, like he's just like unloading the bag, and she could kind of give half a shit, but she was just laughing and just like at the whole thing, because he was just like, you know, really proud of all this stuff that he had, and we'd been talking about it all day. So he's like having her like lay down on the cot and emptying his bag and showing off all the stuff that he'd been telling me about, and giving her stuff. He's like, have this later, because he's got like doubles and triples and quadruples of everything, because pretty much he gets a piece of gear and then finds out that there's something better 6 months later and gets something better. So anyways, he's giving her a lighter, and he's offering me this chair. He's like, this is the lightest ultralight chair and the most comfortable one ever, except for the one that's in the mail. But take this one, and take this sleeping bag. And fuck, the last thing I need is more shit, but just like, sometimes people offer stuff in such a way and just like in such a moment, and I'm just like, if I can take it. So yeah, and a water filter, he gave me that, which is actually a pretty cool water filter. I'll test it out. It's called Be Free. It might be better than the Sawyer that I have. But anyways, I bring that up because now I've got this like chair, which sure, maybe it is the most ultralight chair. It is pretty light, but it's still bulky as hell, like in my little ass bag hanging off the outside. And this extra sleeping bag, I'm almost not sure why I took it, but it really came in handy that night, because it was pretty damn cold. So to have this like down sleeping bag and my sleeping bag doubled up, I was like, whatever, why not? I'll just keep this through the next week or two while it's super cold, if nothing else. So yeah, really ultralight, mummy, warm, down sleeping bag. So I was super cozy that night. I haven't used the chair yet. The chair has just been a clanky, bulky thing. But if nothing else, maybe my friends here will want it. Yeah, so slept in that night, and actually did sleep in. I slept in until like 9 or 10, just catching up on sleep from the night before and just staying warm. And yeah, got walking onto the highway, and not too long after walking down the highway, feeling pretty good. I always feel like hitchhiking east to west or either way in the United States on Interstate 40, once you get past Oklahoma City, to me, that's kind of the dividing line. Like when I'm going west, as soon as I hit Oklahoma City, like I almost feel like I'm west, already. And same thing coming back east. That's it for me. So I was feeling pretty good. And yeah, state trooper stopped and picked me up. And this is actually the first time a state trooper's ever stopped in the way that he did. So I'm on the interstate, and it's legal to walk on the interstate in Oklahoma. So usually if a cop stops, like they pull right on up, because either someone has called ahead or they see you and they stop like right away. But he stopped like 100 yards down the road, the way people stop when they pick me up hitchhiking, because they see me and maybe it takes them a second to decide and slow down and stop. So kind of ridiculous. And he throws on the lights. He's got the lights flashing. So it's the first time I'm like running towards a cop car. People must have been like, what the fuck? Like, you're running the wrong way. I'm just like sprinting up the highway to the cop car. Like, I don't know. It was just kind of ridiculous. Like, but he was super cool. I guess he's given hitchhikers a ride before and he's used to it. And there was no suspicion really in him. He did pat me down. Like, he's like, I'll give you a ride as far as I can, throw you stuff in the back. And he did pat me down because that's protocol or whatever, and took my ID again, probably just because it's protocol. But yeah, no suspicion whatsoever. It was purely just like, you're hitchhiking, I know what this is. So I hopped up in the front seat. There's been a handful of times where that's happened. I always like that. That's just like a sign of trust and respect. That's pretty cool to ride shotgun with a shotgun behind your head with the cop right there. So yeah, he was cool. And he's like, yeah, usually I drive people like all the way to the Texas border. And he said even constable, I guess, just died up there a couple months ago. He said, just like this old classic Texas fucking dude, boots and a gun. But he said sometimes he's even called ahead, and that guy has picked people up, like transferring hitchhikers over, and then that dude will give him a ride, maybe even across Texas, or probably could. But anyways, he didn't get me that far. He got me like 30 miles to the border and dropped me off, and we were just shooting the shit. I was asking him just about what it's like being a state trooper and what he does all day. Is it mostly just like speeding? And I think it's mostly just like speeding. Once in a while, find some drugs or some trouble or whatever. But yeah, he dropped me off, and minutes after he dropped me off, a truck stopped, and I run up into the truck, and like as I'm climbing into the truck, there's this Russian dude my age, and he's just like, yes, I get to practice my English. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, let's go. So I hop up in the truck, and the dude's going to San Jose, fucking California, baby. I knew it. That's what I love about hitchhiking on I-40 or I-70, is eventually, if you're going across the country, eventually you get that ride. You get all these little rides for like 20 minutes, maybe 2 hours, and then you're bound to get someone who's going the distance. And he was going the distance, and it worked out even better because we were driving for like a couple hours, and he is just stoked to be speaking English to somebody, because he's been practicing. It was pretty impressive. He's only started speaking English. So I'll tell you this guy's whole story, actually. So he is like a migrant, immigrant, whatever. He came over here illegally, and I don't know, I just thought, I've been hearing about like tons of people coming over here illegally, and I got a ride from a Border Patrol guy a few years ago, and he was saying how they grab people who, have jumped over the fence, the border, whatever, and they catch them in the desert, and some people, like more than half the people escape, and but they do catch half the people, and and then I guess, I don't know, I've been hearing this different stuff about people coming over here, and then they get to stay over here, and they don't get kicked out. And I always thought it's because, they got over the border and then got caught and stuff happened. But he said he caught a plane ticket to Cancun, Mexico. I guess getting a Mexican visa is trivial for a Russian. So flew over to Cancun and then got a flight to Tijuana and then rented a car or got a car and just drove to the border like everyone else does. And when they asked for his passport, he just said, I'm looking for political asylum, him and his brother and his brother's family. And I just thought if you drove to the border the legit way and you were like, we're trying to like sneak over or whatever, use the word political asylum, they'd be like, haha, that's fun, go home. I thought you had to like sneak over and then once you were over the border, you'd be like, I'm over, you have to do things. But I guess you can just go and ask. So that's what they did. And I think it was easier for his brother because he had like family and stuff with him. And they just like let him in and they're like, off you go. But this truck driver I'm talking about, had to be in the detention center, and I guess it lasted 4 months until he got his hearing or whatever, and then they're like, all right, you're good to go. Here's a EBT food card, and enjoy America, buddy. So yeah, I think that was 4 years ago, 2 or 4 years ago, I'm forgetting now, 2 years ago, that he got over here. Been living in Chicago, has been working these different jobs, cashier at Walmart. You know, it gets this long process to get an actual green card. It's 5 years until he has a hearing, and then they'll decide whether he gets a green card or deport him. But he can kick it for 5 years until then. Or he can like get married, and I guess that'll expedite the process of getting the green card. But in the meantime, you know, he's got a driver's license and he's kicking it. He's worked at a cashier at Walmart. Was working for Xfinity for a minute, and for the last 4 months, he's been driving this truck around the country. And a year ago, he's like, I should really learn English, and he's been doing it purely with ChatGPT, which I thought was like kind of interesting. He's the first person I met fully doing that with great success. Like this dude, his English was like really good. He'd trip up every once in a while, but it was totally fine. And he's like, do you think I can get a job at a warehouse? I'm like, yeah, the fact that you just asked me that question, of course you could, dude. I'm like, you were a cashier at Walmart. You were probably doing more talking to people as a cashier. And anyways, like, we're having in-depth conversations about everything. Like, yeah, dude, do whatever you want. Yeah, ChatGPT's got this feature where you can just talk back and forth to it, like a conversation. So while he's in the truck by himself, he's just shooting the shit with ChatGPT. It's almost like having someone on the phone that knows everything in the world. And he's learning English that way. So clearly that works pretty well. So yeah, we're just cruising. And then he asked if I had a driver's license. And I was like, yeah, I do. He's like, do you feel like driving for a little bit? And I was like, hell yeah, dude. I love driving. So we stopped after, 2 hours of just getting to know each other, chilling, and had to fill up with gas. He gets me a chicken sandwich and an energy drink. He's like, all right, let's go. So I just drove all the way to fucking Arizona, you guys. I guess he only drives like 3, 4, 5 hours a day, maybe 6 hours a day. And he gets tired. He's like tired of driving, so he'll stop for the day. And I was like, dude, I am not going to get tired. Like, if you let me, I'm just going to keep driving. He's like, really? Cool. And he's just kicking back in the passenger seat. He's like, this is so awesome. I just get to like chill. I'm like, hell yeah. So we're just shooting the shit and going between that and just listening to music, and I'm just driving. And every few hours we stop for gas, and I just drove 10, 11 hours straight, 12 hours, I think, all the way to, through Texas into New Mexico, over the border into Arizona, past Flagstaff, and all the way to the exit closest to my friends in Ash Fork, like an hour past Flagstaff, like midnight, 1 a.m. And I was like, all right, dude, thanks so much. And yeah, awesome, dude. And off he went, probably just to find the first place he could properly lay down and sleep. But I'm sure he'll be stoked. He'll get to San Jose now a lot quicker than he was thinking, and get to chill out and check out San Jose. So good on him, and fucking A. But yeah, it was like 1 a.m. So I was able to tell my friends, I'll like, I'll be there tonight. And they're like, what the fuck, really? Awesome. So now I'm here. Yeah, so it was like 1 a.m. and I had to walk like 6 miles to get to their place. But whatever, threw the headphones on, listened to some podcasts, and it was a little bit cold, but not too bad. Once you start walking, it's whatever. And nearly a full moon, so it was a couple hours of walking or whatever, but nice little walk. And she had the cabin set up for me when I got here. Had a cot laid out and all that stuff. Could have gotten a fire going, but really it was only like 30 degrees or something, and just being inside the little cabin was insulated, and she left a blanket out, so now I'm like triple blanketing it. I got my 2 fucking sleeping bags plus the blanket. So yeah, it's plenty warm. So yeah, anyways, they left at like 6 a.m. while I was still sleeping they got to go to town, do a few other things, but they'll be back in, oh, nice, like less than a couple hours now. So yeah, got up, found the little shower hut they got. They got an awesome little property out here. I've been here several times at this point. Actually, looked over the property for them once for like a week or so, just doing some writing. So everything's off grid out here. They got like 40 acres. Like right now, I'm recording the podcast outside. It's totally still. There's not a road you can see from the property. You can't hear any cars. Like I said, it was like a 6 mile walk from I-40, so you can't see or hear that. It's just, it's beautiful. It's just Arizona kind of desert. And they've got the cabin that sort of came with the property when they got it, which is, I don't know how big this fucking cabin is, 15 by 15, something like that. And they've since been putting a yurt up. They've got some glamping tents. I don't know if those are set up somewhere, but they got the little hut where the shower is. They got the hot water in there now. Yeah, like I said, everything's solar. They got a washing machine I'm sure they can run. They got a nicer little cabin that they've built, which I'm stoked to see the inside, because last time they were just putting the walls up and stuff. Yeah, they got a little kid here, Ollie. Stoked to see him. I'm stoked to see it all. I'm so excited to see him here when they get back shortly. And it's perfect. So the thing is, they're having a little get-together tomorrow. So I got here like a day and a half just in time. Happy days. So excited. So yeah, what a great little run across the country. So I still got the little stretch up to Wyoming, which I'm excited about. But yeah, let me jump into the outro and tell you what's kind of coming up next here. Oh yes, so Arizona, record time. So I will be staying here, yeah, for a few days, something like that, with the goal of getting up to Wyoming a little bit before Christmas. I got my little brother taking the easy way, flying from Manhattan to, probably flying from Queens or whatever, flying from New York to Wyoming. My sister flying from LA to Wyoming. Fucking cheaters, man. Goddamn cheaters. Maybe I'll get to cheat a little bit too, part of the way up there. We'll see. I don't know. But yeah, the goal is to get up there. So we'll see how that all shakes out. Yeah, there's a few different options on the way. If I'm going to hitchhike all the way straight, the easy jump way is Vegas, Salt Lake, Wyoming. I don't know if my buddy in Salt Lake is around there. Vegas, I can just always do the free room thing, so it's a good part-way thing. Yeah, all sorts of ways things can happen on the way. So I'm excited for that, but yeah, I'll spend some time there, and then, yeah, who knows? I'll do another podcast probably between Christmas and New Year's, or maybe the days leading up to Christmas, but before the month's over, here comes the wind. Get another podcast up, let y'all know what I'm doing. I'm kind of thinking about going to California, either in time for New Year's or just after New Year's, kicking around, because for sure I'll be in Phoenix in February, and maybe you will too, if you want to be. Like I said, hit me up if you're interested in hanging out with a bunch of travel-minded people, being productive and doing travel-minded stuff around trip hopping and everything else. But yes, I'll definitely be going to Phoenix by February 1st, if not a few days before that. So kind of makes sense in my head to just head over into Northern California and catch up with a bunch of friends all the way down south to San Diego, where got some good friends, and one of my best friends from growing up actually moved from New York into San Diego, so 100% be seeing him and everybody down there. So it's kind of a thought, but we'll see. Yeah, that's pretty much what's up, you guys. I mentioned that Magic Mind, get you some of that. magicmind.com/freestyle show. Freestyle show 20 is the code you should use, the 20%. Do that. And definitely, yeah, consider February in Phoenix if you got the time, if you're feeling like contributing to the project and all that. I'm super excited about it. I'm just going to be getting more and more excited about it. Everything we get done should be fun. So, yeah, I guess that's it. If you're along the way, give me a shout, and it'll be a good time. All right. Hope you guys are doing awesome, and I will see you down the road.
Plans I made, I need a new escape. With all my shit straight, I'll get my big